The Data Cloud Diaries, Amazon S3 integration revisited. Welcome back to SteveTechArc and the Data Cloud Diaries. A lot has been happening this year with AI, Agentforce, and so many other things. Plus, Data Cloud has been growing and getting new capabilities. What we're going to do is we're taking a look deeper at Data Cloud and working our way through. Now, the Amazon S3 integration still works as we saw originally, but some of the things have been moved. So we're going to take a look today at what it takes to set up the Amazon S3 integration with Data Cloud. So as we work on this, we're going to take a look at some of the things that have been enhanced over the last few months. You'll notice the left nav. We've got more elements, Snowflake, the websites, the ingestion API. Right now, we're going to look down here at the other connectors, and I have chosen a new one. And you'll see that we have source and target. What we're going to do is here's our source, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be choosing S3. So this is having Data Cloud reach out to S3 on a periodic frequency, grab specific files, and then bring them into Data Cloud. So we're picking S3. We're going to hit next. And now the first thing we're doing is creating a connection name. So I'm going to go and call this STA, SteveTechArc, AWS. And so what we're going to need is we're going to need an access key and an AWS secret. We're going to need a bucket name and a parent directory. And when you're ready, you're going to test the connection. Now this is my S3 login. I've created a new bucket for CACDC, and you'll notice that I have a folder called test. So what we've got is I've got a specific bucket in my S3, and I know the bucket name, I know the folder, and what I'm going to be doing is configuring Data Cloud to reach into this. So here I have STA AWS to give me the connection name. I'm doing an access key based access with the AWS key and the secret. Those are been generated in my AWS account. You'll notice I gave it the bucket name, the parent directory, and you can see that I've tested the connection and the connection is successful. So this is a connection. Now, when you go to building and deploying Data Cloud, this has to be pre-existing. So this is what you're going to need to set up potentially manually in every one of your Data Cloud environments. This contains the actual credentials for reaching out and going into the target system. Now, if I refresh, you'll know that it's flagged as active, and I am able to reach into that bucket and potentially have Data Cloud pull files. Now what we're going to do is we're going to navigate here to Data Cloud. So from here, I can go into Data Cloud, the application, and then from here, I'm going to go to data streams. And so now what I have here is I have data streams. I'm looking for my SteveTechArc data streams, and I don't see any. I'm going to create a new one based on my airport file that I've used many times before. So if we go into my bucket, we're going to look at my folder, and you see I have my airports CSV. So this is a CSV sitting inside of in a folder inside my bucket. So going back to here, I'm going to hit new data stream. And you'll notice I'm going to be choosing Amazon S3 and next. And here you'll see I have, if I had more than one connector, I'd be able to choose. But right now, connection. Right now I have a single connection. It's going to be CSV. Now I'm reading straight from the root. So from here I can go airports. So this is the airports. It's telling me the source is the Amazon S3 STA AWS. So I have my connection, my source, and the import from directory. So what we're going to be able to do is that we're going to hit next. And if it can find the file, it'll allow me to see the mappings. So this is successful. What I have right now is I have it reaching out and seeing the schema. Now this is a list of airports, and we'll be going over this in some revisited files later. But if we have airports, we're going to choose this as other. It's not a profile, not an engagement. It's going to be other data. We got to pick its primary key. Just for now, we can choose the ID. That's a numeric ID that came in. If we had a record modifier or a unit modifier. And we can also go in later about potentially adding any formula fields. You'll see that we have 0 unsupported, 3 lineage fields, and no formula fields. So right now we're going to create a new data lake object. And I'm going to change its name to STA Airports. And there we are, STA Airports. So what we're going to be doing is with this data source, it's going to create a DLO, new one. It's going to be of type other. And we can scan our fields, see if we need any adjustments. There's our latitude degrees, longitude degrees. I'm going to hit next. Now this becomes important. We get to choose when this process runs. So first, what's its frequency of run? 5 minutes, 15, 30, hourly, daily, weekly. We also get to choose whether this file will always contain a complete data set. And we want to essentially handle deletes. So if you are worried about records, you want to have records disappear or always have it fresh, you could do a full refresh, which will actually wipe and rebuild. Or if you want more of an additive process where it's doing an upsert. So if an airport were to be removed from the list, you want it to retain in Data Cloud, then you would do an upsert based on that ID. So I may choose a full refresh. I'm going to let it go to the default data space. You'll see I can even do filters. I can filter my data. But what we're going to focus in on is bringing it in. CSV, import directory, and no frequency. We're going to say no frequency. So I don't want my sandboxes constantly burning right now. In production, you would most likely have a schedule frequency. I don't want to consume credits unnecessarily. So I'm going to leave it off. I'm going to do refresh the data stream immediately. And then I'm going to hit deploy. So this is a straightforward process. It's identified the schema of the file. We've creating a new data lake object, and we're having Data Cloud bring it in. And there we go. So what we see right now is we have an ingest data stream. It's active, hasn't yet been run. In fact, it's about to be run shortly. We can see our mappings, and it's ready to go. So what we can do, the data stream status was updated, so it's actually pending, and we're going to give it a moment. And what we'll actually be able to do is when it's complete, we'll be able to see the number of records that was processed in this data stream. So here we are. I've just hit refresh. You'll see that we now have a successful run. That took about 5 to 8 minutes while I paused the video. You'll notice it's got 78,546 records. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Data Explorer, and we're going to take the default data space. We're going to take STA Airports. And then you'll notice that using the Data Explorer, I have the ability to scroll and be able to see the data. So there's my airports. I can edit the columns, and I can actually take a look at the data. Just remember that Data Explorer will always be limited to a certain number of columns and a certain number of rows. So this is how we're going to set up a connector. From here, we have, just to review, come down to other connectors, set up a connector, let us edit the connector. So here is the connector name, which gives me access with the credentials. Think of this, it's kind of an equivalent of a named credential in Salesforce Core. This allows you to actually maintain the connection. So you'll need to be able to deploy these sources ahead of time, potentially even manually. And then we come to data sources, data streams, excuse me. So here is my data stream. You'll see that it's refreshed, and then it brings it in. So this is bringing it in as a data lake object, coming from the data stream, coming in with very minimal mappings. You don't make a lot of changes. We'll talk about that in other videos. And then you can use Data Explorer to view your data. So I hope this was helpful. You're seeing that Data Cloud is gaining new and more capabilities. We saw that they've actually separated the initial connection to its own location. Then you have the data stream. That way you then have the mappings and bringing the file in. So great new capabilities. Most of the things we talked about before are still there, and new features have come in already. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for joining Back to Basics. Join me again, same bat time, same bat channel. Subscribe to SteveTechArc, and have a great day.